All right, hello, Political Science 4. Going over interdependence theory with you. So this is the second of the three theories that you should know for the class. Where realism is don't trust anybody, anarchy outside your system. Interdependence is really cooperation. So interdependence theorists argue that states cooperate as much as if they can compete. So it's more about cooperation in an interdependent system. China and the United States will not war because they work together on things. So that's what interdependence theorists look at. They cooperate because it is in their common interest to do so. We can all survive if we work together. So prosperity and stability in the international system are the direct result of that cooperation. So we will all prosper because we're working together. There's high and low politics when we talk about international relations and interdependence theory. High politics, national security, military power, that's your realist perspective. Whereas low politics is economic, social, and environmental issues. So now, for interdependence theorists, we look at both high and low politics. Four major factors in the establishment and success of international relations. The role of international institutions, they play a role, so it's not only just states, but it's international institutions like the United Nations. International rules and norms for behavior of states, how states should interact with each other. Geneva Convention, how are prisoners supposed to be treated. The increasing economic interdependence between nations. Most of parts for Chevy cars that are built in the United States come from Mexico. So computer parts come from Taiwan, Japan, South Korea. So all these states are economically interdependent. All of our products, like our iPads, iPhones, Android phones, they're all made in China. And then technological advancement and the growth of global communications. The world has become a smaller place because now we're able to communicate. We're holding class in Zoom, right? You could be across the United States. I could be teaching over in Italy, and we still have this class because of technology. So these elements play an indispensable role in constraining or regulating the behavior of nation states. These four things help constrain nation states' actions. Again, we have all of our companies in the United States are invested in China. If we were to go to war with China and bomb China, we might be bombing our own economy because we are interdependent with them. That's what we mean by interdependence. So these four factors build incentives to cooperate. So enhance trust between nations. We work with China, they work with us, builds trust. Promote negotiation rather than military confrontation as a means to resolve disputes. So instead of just going straight to war, we're going to have diplomacy. Institutional interdependence, focus on institutionalizing global cooperation, moving toward a one-world government. Calls for the creation of a new global power structure. The United Nations has power, and they have the vested power to create laws and make sure nation states follow international laws. I'm going to go through these fast because this is kind of a long chapter or a long discussion. I want to get into the roots and the ideas of interdependence. Global cooperation is founded on three factors. What are the three factors? Enhancing the role and influence of international organizations. So enhancing the role of the United Nations. Instituting collective security. So instead of one nation fighting another, you have multiple nations working together to stop any aggressive nation. The Gulf War in the 1990s. Iraq invades Kuwait, so a coalition, collective security coming together to stop Saddam from taking over Kuwait. And then enforcing international law. The ultimate goal of reforming the anarchy of the international system and forging a harmonious community of nations. So you need to institute a world system, a world power system, to be able to stop wars from happening. So natural law, talk about this in American government a lot. Natural law transcends the domestic laws of states. The belief that humans have basic and inalienable rights, so the right to life. We're all born, so we already have the right to life, liberty, we can freely do what we want, and then pursuit of happiness or property. We are all entitled to property. So all of these rights transcends all nation states. So all nation states we don't get these rights from nation states, we already get these from nature. So that's why they're natural rights. International law, codification of rules that regulate the behavior of states and set limits upon what is permissible and what is not permissible. So international law, again, the UN making laws, and that becomes international laws, and all states or nations are tied to that law. So these rules bind states as well as other international actors. So collective security, system in which states band together to safeguard the territorial independence and security of one another against aggression. So states will come together to defend each other if there's an aggressive nation. So it's collective, all together. Differs from balance of power in that it is not directed against a specific nation, but against any state that threatens the status quo. So it goes against states that will just not disrupt the balance of power, but disrupt peace. So enforcing international law would then be a collective responsibility for the good of all states within the community or the world. So economic interdependence, second branch of interdependence theory, identifying the increasingly integrated nature of global economy as a major force in promoting those linkages. So you've heard globalism. Well, this is economic interdependence. Companies going out around the world and building it around the world, and they manufacture in one state, they bring parts from another state, the headquarters is in another state. These are known as multinational corporations. I think we'll go over that in a minute. With this merging of international and domestic economic interests, states have become increasingly interconnected and interdependent. Interdependence based on three assumptions. States are not the only key actors in international relations. The one world government is another. Non-governmental organizations, or NGOs. So those are like multinational corporations, which I've briefly touched on. Let's see. Apple is a multinational corporation. It has plants in China. They get parts from South Korea, the headquarters in the United States, and so on. Economic cartels like OPEC and Greenpeace. OPEC controls how much oil is pumped out of the ground. Large religious groups, the Catholic Church, right? That's a non-governmental organization. All these actors take positions on the global stage, so they all play an important role. Not just the state, but also these entities play a major role. 2, the agenda of international relations is more complex and diverse than in the past, because it's a smaller world, right? Where we can easily communicate with each other. Issues of trade, technology, and the environment can be as important as traditional national security concerns. Right? I think today President Biden talks about climate change and setting up a climate summit and trying to abide more by those climate agreements. And 3, military force plays less of a role in contemporary international politics. Because you could be an aggressor nation, the world community will come together against you for disrupting the status quo. So the military doesn't play as much of a role, or military power doesn't play as much of a role for interdependence. So economic interdependence, along with expanded political ties, have increased cooperation and decreased the utility of force. Because we don't want to go to war with China because we'll be bombing our own factories. They don't want to go to war with us because we buy Chinese goods. So we're interconnected. Less use of military force. Power is no longer measured solely in the terms of military strength. Influence is often the result of economic flexibility or technological innovation. So not only having a strong military, but now a strong economy and technological advancement shows that you are a powerful nation. Complex interdependence. With greater cooperation and integration, a state's economy is merely one piece in an increasingly integrated world economic whole. With more actors, more issues, greater interactions, and less hierarchy in international politics, which we are seeing today. Encourage more states to develop and join. We want more. For interdependence, they want to see the world, more countries become economically viable so that they can join, and then we all become more interdependent. Limit capacity of a single state to have decisive control. There is no superpowers out there. They now become all state. If there is a superpower, they want all states to catch up so that we can work together. Multinational corporations, companies that have production facilities or branches in several countries. We talked about that. Apple is one. McDonald's, Walmart. These companies are multinational corporations. They're all over the world. The influence of multinational corporations, they expand and reinforce global economic and political linkages among people and groups across national borders. People in China that work for Apple want to see Apple do well. Same thing here. Companies conducting business across state boundaries also make states more interdependent and create a new context in which countries make decisions about one another. We do want to have free trade with Mexico because we do get goods from Mexico that our multinational corporations need to build their products or complete their products or sell their products. Multinational corporations have their own agendas. They want, if you see some like Google, Twitter, they push agendas. Heck, all companies push agendas. What they want. McDonald's wants to allow pink slime in their hamburgers, so they'll lobby for that. Walmart wants more free trade with China, so they'll lobby for that. So they will push for what they want, and they have money, and they're able to push politicians to do what they would want. Their interests do not coincide with the states they may be doing business with. Their goal is to maximize profit. Just like any corporation, that's the job of a corporation, is to make money. Harmony of interests. The interests of all states coincides with the interests of each state. We all want the same thing. Focus on mutual advantages of cooperation between nations. It's better that we work together than be separate. Alright, so again, this is a review of interdependence. Realism looks at the real world. It's a hard, cold, cruel world. Interdependence is more hopeful. We work together for the betterment of all humankind. So focus of analysis, enhancing global political economic cooperation. So interdependence really looks at economy. Your major actors, states of course. States are always going to be a major actor. International organizations, multinational corporations, non-governmental organizations, which we've named some. Behavior of states are not always rational actors. Compromise between various interests within the states. You're going to have varying interests on whatever. Some people want free trade, some people don't want free trade. Some want protectionist policies, some don't. So you have those competing interests trying to vie for power. So you want that compromise. All right, so components of international interdependence theory: goals of states, economic prosperity, international stability. View of human nature, just like I said before, it is optimistic, where realists looked at it as pessimistic. Interdependence looked at them optimistically. Human beings are inherently good. Conditions of the international system: it is anarchic, but you can mitigate the anarchy with international law, having a world institution overseeing the international system. Key concepts: you should know what an international organization is. You should know what international law is. Collective security: you should know what that is. Regime: you should know economic interdependence. And you should know what harmony of interest are. Alright, that is it for interdependence theory. I know I ran a little long. I know I'm getting this up a little bit late, but also I wanted to help you for test purposes. Alright, that is it for this one. We'll see you for the next one.